Section 27 of Pirates of Panama, The Buccaneers of America, by A.O. Exquemelin. Translated by G.A. Williams. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Lars Rolander. Chapter 17, Part 2. The pirates endeavored to take some of the Indians prisoners, but they being swifter than the pirates, every one escaped, leaving 8 pirates dead and 10 wounded. Yea, had the Indians been more dexterous in military affairs, they might have defended that passage and not let one man pass. A little while after they came to a large champaign, open and full of fine meadows. Hence they could perceive at a distance before them some Indians, on the top of a mountain, near the way by which they were to pass. They sent 50 men, the nimblest they had, to try to catch any of them, and force them to discover their companions. But all in vain, for they escaped by their nimbleness, and presently showed themselves in another place, hallooing to the English and crying, a la savannah, perros ingleses!" That is, to the plain, ye English dogs. Meanwhile the 10 pirates that were wounded were dressed and plastered up. Here was a wood, and on each side a mountain. The Indians possessed themselves of one, and the pirates of the other. Captain Morgan was persuaded the Spaniards had placed an ambuscade there, it lying so conveniently. Hereupon he sent 200 men to search it. The Spaniards and Indians, perceiving the pirates descend the mountain, did so too, as if they designed to attack them; but being got into the wood, out of the sight of the pirates, they were seen no more, leaving the passage open. About night fell a great rain, which caused the pirates to march the faster, and seek for houses to preserve their arms from being wet. But the Indians had set fire to every one, and driven away all their cattle, that the pirates, finding neither houses nor victuals, might be constrained to return. But after diligent search they found a few shepherds' huts, but in them nothing to eat. These not holding many men, they placed in them, out of every company, a small number, who kept the arms of the rest. Those who remained in the open field endured much hardship that night, the rain not ceasing till morning. Next morning, about break of day, being the 9th of that tedious journey, Captain Morgan marched on, while the fresh air of the morning lasted, for the clouds hanging yet over their heads were much more favourable than the scorching rays of the sun, the way being now more difficult than before. After 2 hours' march, they discovered about 20 Spaniards, who observed their motions. They endeavoured to catch some of them, but could not, they suddenly disappearing, and absconding themselves in caves among the rocks, unknown to the pirates. At last, ascending a high mountain, they discovered the South Sea. This happy sight, as if it were the end of their labours, caused infinite joy among them. Hence they could descry also 1 ship, and 6 boats, which were set forth from Panama, and sailed towards the islands of Tavoga and Tavogilla. Then they came to a vale where they found much cattle, whereof they killed good store. Here, while some killed and flayed cows, horses, bulls, and chiefly asses, of which there were most, others kindled fires and got wood to roast them; then cutting the flesh into convenient pieces or gobbets, they threw them into the fire, and half carbonaded or roasted, they devoured them with incredible haste and appetite. Such was their hunger, as they more resembled cannibals than Europeans, the blood many times running down from their beards to their waists. Having satisfied their hunger, Captain Morgan ordered them to continue the march. Here again he sent before the main body 50 men to take some prisoners, if they could, for he was much concerned that in 9 days he could not meet one person to inform him of the condition and forces of the Spaniards. About evening they discovered about 200 Spaniards, who hallooed to the pirates, but they understood not what they said. A little while after they came in sight of the high steeple of Panama. This they no sooner discovered but they showed signs of extreme joy, casting up their hats into the air, leaping and shouting, just as if they had already obtained the victory, and accomplished their designs. All their trumpets sounded and drums beat in token of this alacrity of their minds. Thus they pitched their camp for that night, with general content of the whole army, waiting with impatience for the morning, when they intended to attack the city. This evening appeared 50 horse, who came out of the city, on the noise of the drums and trumpets, to observe, as it was thought, their motions. They came almost within musket shot of the army, with a trumpet that sounded marvellously well. Those on horseback hallooed aloud to the pirates, and threatened them, saying, "Perros, nos veremos," that is, "Ye dogs, we shall meet ye." Having made this menace, they returned to the city, except only 7 or 8 horsemen, who hovered thereabouts to watch their motions. Immediately after, the city fired, and ceased not to play their biggest guns all night long against the camp, but with little or no harm to the pirates, whom they could not easily reach. Now also the 200 Spaniards whom the pirates had seen in the afternoon appeared again, making a show of blocking up the passages, that no pirates might escape their hands. But the pirates, though in a manner besieged, instead of fearing their blockades, as soon as they had placed sentinels about their camp, opened their satchels, and, without any napkins or plates, fell to eating very heartily the pieces of bulls' and horses' flesh which they had reserved since noon. This done, they laid themselves down to sleep on the grass with great repose and satisfaction, expecting only with impatience the dawning of the next day. The 10th day, betimes in the morning, they put all their men in order, and with drums and trumpets sounding, marched directly towards the city. But one of the guides desired Captain Morgan not to take the common highway, lest they should find in it many ambuscades. He took his advice and chose another way through the wood, though very irksome and difficult. The Spaniards, perceiving the pirates had taken another way they scarce had thought on, were compelled to leave their stops and batteries, and come out to meet them. The governor of Panama put his forces in order, consisting of 2 squadrons, 4 regiments of foot, and a huge number of wild bulls, which were driven by a great number of Indians, with some negroes and others to help them. The pirates now upon their march came to the top of a little hill, whence they had a large prospect of the city and champaign country underneath. Here they discovered the forces of the people of Panama in battle array, to be so numerous that they were surprised with fear, much doubting the fortune of the day. Yea, few or none there were but wished themselves at home, or at least free from the obligation of that engagement, it so nearly concerning their lives. Having been some time wavering in their minds, they at last reflected on the straits they had brought themselves into, and that now they must either fight resolutely or die, for no quarter could be expected from an enemy on whom they had committed so many cruelties. Hereupon they encouraged one another, resolving to conquer or spend the last drop of blood. Then they divided themselves into 3 battalions, sending before 200 buccaneers, who were very dexterous at their guns. Then, descending the hill, they marched directly towards the Spaniards, who in a spacious field waited.